I read at work.
Now, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. And the first one that came to my mind was the X-Man is an invincible. But do you know what? We've got the H-Men. The H-Men are back in town. And we've also got James Rowan in residence. The last show, well, the penultimate last show, but the last show I'm going to be doing with James, Eltel, and of course Tim on Canal 4 TV. But I don't even know what we're going to be talking about. I have no idea. But James, welcome back on Canal 4 TV. And the more things change, the more things stay the same. We haven't aged, James. We look exactly the same.
We look exactly the same, but the topics we talk about stay the same. We're still not good enough in Europe. We still don't win anything. There's still jam tomorrow. You know, we could be sitting here in 10 years' time, and people will say the same thing. Yeah. But what I don't understand is that for the people that try to speak that everything is okay, what must their individual lives be like? If they're so easily led, what must their own personal individual lives be like? Here's a question for you. Erik ten Hag has won 2 trophies in 2 seasons. Our manager, 1 in 4. And that's the fact. And we're not counting charity shields. We're counting domestic cups. And I just think that I think if Ten Hag stays at Manchester United, I think he'll go on to win more. Maybe not the league title nor the Champions League, but up until a point, I think they'll continue to win. And we're just concerned with selling the new shirt for £80 a pop, selling shorts for £38.
Ooh.
I can't believe that.
You want to have good legs.
Well, yeah, but, we've often spoken on this platform about willpower. You don't have to do it. Alex is wearing the greatest Arsenal shirt ever produced. You don't need to buy another one. That's the only one. I have the same, and also the 1971 away replica. They're the only 2 I have. I don't have any others. And if you think of how much money I think we've saved just through a little bit of willpower, but also what you get back. I mean, when I went to Arsenal Porto in March, I paid £77 for my ticket, and I got to see a penalty shootout live for the first time. I got to see my team win a penalty shootout, so that memory will live with me forever. Now, for £3 more, you can buy the latest shirt, but what memories do you get from that? You put it in the wash a couple of times, it fades, and then they'll release a new one next year.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, the Porto game was a kind of important match in the sense that it showed a resolve they didn't have previously at Fit James. I do feel that there was a kind of I know the bigger picture maybe, but I felt there was a bit of a progress in Europe, and that was probably and like looking back on it, was the Bayern match.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I don't know. That's only kind of looking like hindsight is 2020, but
yeah,
could they have gone further in Europe? Like,
well, when to put it safely, and I'll say it until I'm blue in the face. We're not cut out for Europe. We're not cut out for it. We're not, because we view the Champions League as a cash cow. We view it as a ATM. We don't view it as a sporting prestige. Borussia Dortmund, who we are going to talk about, are playing in their 3rd final, and they've got a chance to win it for a 2nd time, and I really think they will. I'm convinced they're going to beat Real Madrid. I think it'll be 1-0 to Borussia Dortmund, and I hope Marco Reus scores the winner. I think that would be great, and then they will get to win it for a 2nd time. You know, and people forget they won it in '97 when they beat Juventus 3-1 with goals from Lars Licken and Karl-Heinz Riedler, and Juventus underestimated them, thinking that the old lady being the special European team, they underestimated them when the game was played in Munich as well, and I think that Real Madrid are going to do exactly the same. You know, but the thing that's going to make Real Madrid come unstuck this time, they're not playing a Bayer Leverkusen that's suffering stage fright. They're not playing a Valencia that's suffering stage fright. They're not playing an Atletico Madrid that are suffering stage fright. They're playing a team that's won this competition before, and it's beaten one of the biggest teams in Europe to do it. So I think it will be a 1-0 win for Borussia Dortmund.
Tell, what's been the highlight of the season for you from Arsenal's perspective?
Oh, you know, it's been a lot you know, I suppose it's the hope that kills, isn't it? It's the fact that we were so near. I saw a graph the other day that for most of the last, 15 seasons, I think probably something like 10 or 11 of them, our points total would have been enough to have won the league. I do worry, you know, that we just training Arteta up for his real job, which is the sort of job that follows Arsenal. As I was telling Alex, I was in a school there in January and February, and what they call the early careers teachers now, they have to do 2 years of probationary before they're fully qualified, and these teachers look like a rabbit caught in headlights, you know, and they've stretched it to 2 years now. And I sometimes think about Arteta. Yes, you know, he's improving. He's improved as we've had him, but we're doing someone else's training. We're training him up. And then when he gets a big job after this, I mean, there is a rumour that Guardiola might even go from Man City at the end of next season. And of course, they've got 115 charges, but we won't worry about that. That's been caught up in 115 different courts up and down the land. So that'll fade away. No, my highlight, I suppose, was I did get a ticket for the home match against Chelsea. You know, all our mates, Big Andy, Little Andy, all those guys, Tony. I got a call the day before, and the guys gave me a ticket for 55 quid. I couldn't believe it. And I was up there with them. And you know, the one towards the end of the season where we won 5-0.
Yeah.
And I went in and I sat or stood alongside him. And I said, I think I should have put on a bet. I think this is a 4-0 win. And sure enough, we got to 4. And then I went, oh, no, I should have put some money on this. And, of course, we scored a 5th. But, I mean, it was nice to be there and nice to be amongst good friends and, you know, friends I've been to cup finals with. And, you know, so that was a highlight. But in terms of being an Arsenal supporter, it's very much lowlights because you can't do what we used to do. You can't just say, do you know what, I'll pop down Arsenal or I'll go and see Fulham versus whoever. You can't enjoy soccer anymore. Now, you can with hurling over here. You can go and see the local teams and you can enjoy the match and look forward to it. And as Tim calls it, the hurler on the ditch, we chat about the game and so on. But it's all gone way, way, way past that. I mean, some of these tickets, if you go club level, yeah, it's cheaper to go and see the sort of Royal Opera House, you know, with some of the best singers on this side of the globe. There's something wrong there. And that kind of leaves me with a bit of a bad taste. So, as James and I often say to each other, we have our memories. Yeah. We have our wonderful days and in the sunshine, and you'd be bumping into Arsenal players on the street outside Arsenal and their mums and dad. It was one big family. That's gone. Yeah. That's gone. We're on the verges of Arsenal America, Arsenal New York. Goodness knows what Kroenke's got in plan, but it's not. You see, the thing is, we are now a brand, and we are selling. I read somewhere that we actually earned more this season than Man City did, you know, in terms of income. So if you're a Kroenke man or Josh Kroenke man, and you're into like making money, well, you've actually done it. You've succeeded. That's the kind of silverware they want. What gold, that kind of money. So, and that saddens me when it used to be a sport and it used to play it was never a fully level playing field. I mean, anybody who knows the history of the game knows that we were, Sir Henry Norris was a property owner, a landowner, and he had Fulham as his club. And then he saw Woolwich Arsenal and thought, you know what, these boys might be worth buying. And then the league said, well, you have to let go of Fulham. And then he saw this Divinity College, St. John's, if I remember rightly. Oh yeah, and actually, if you go and visit Arsenal, anybody tuning in from elsewhere, if you go and visit the Arsenal area, there's actually a St. John's School, which is the nearest school to it. I've actually taught in there. I went and did some consultancy work there, but there isn't a St. John's Church, because that was the Divinity College, a bit like a seminary might be for the Roman Catholic faith, and they even had to level that. You know, it was on a hill, Highbury Hill. So we're all devotees of the history of the club in the good old bad old days, and it's a real shame that you just can't pop along anymore and go and see a game. And I remember when I was at college going to see Alan Sunderland play for Wolves against Arsenal, and Arsenal won 3-1 back in the 70s. And of course, we bought him, and in 79 he scored the winner in the magnificent cup final against Man United. All those are memories. All those are happy memories. And my girlfriend I took, she said to the match, she said, I was at school with Alan Sunderland, you know, and it was all those magic moments, you know. That's not going to happen again, you know.
Tell you sound like a Legacy fan.
Well, I used to have an Irish cousin. Who went out with Charlie George, and when they were about 14, Pat her name was, and Charlie said to her, Pat, I can't take you out next week as I normally do to go and see the pictures, the cinema. And Pat went, why is that? He said, I've got training. And she went, training? What are you training for? The Royal Ballet? No, Arsenal.
Tim, it sounds like there's doom and gloom at Arsenal, but large sections of the younger sections of the fan base will probably say, what are you talking about? Last season we almost won it. This season out. What's going on, Tim? What's going on?
I suppose here in, let's say, obviously was 10 or older, but we have my son is whatever, young, a teenager, and like they think, his group feel that Arteta is moved. But you see, the thing is, I don't think they realize, and you see, look, like the Man City project and the money and all the kind of, like, they have a short, and like there is a lot of admirable qualities about the Arsenal, the present Arsenal team, like the likes of Odegaard, so he's work rate, he's a kind of inspiration. Saka, he's really talented player. I suppose the defensive kind of unit of Gabriel and Saliba, but like those people, I think James is probably going to address it. These have been conditioned to not success, to non. Do you know what I mean? They saw an FA Cup a couple of years ago as a gigantic success. Like, while Arsenal, if you go back, like, 98 they did the double, 2002 they did the double. Like, the last team to win look, I'm not taking anything away from Man City now. Whether how good they are, history will decide that. Like, but like the last Arsenal team to win it was an Invincibles team. Like, so like, I mean, that was the level of success Arsenal had. And I think people would reference that should be your touchstone and that should be your reference. While if you're under 20 or if you're a teenager, then obviously you've no memories of that. So the idea, and I mean, one of the highlights, I don't know if it was a highlight, but I remember like when they like drew with Man City in Manchester. So there was a lot of the show, but the problem was that and I think this kind of is the embodiment of the point I think James tries to make, is that the embodiment of lack of success, lack of ambition. Like, they were happy to draw. They got a 0-0 and there was everything. But like, ultimately that was a result that was a match they needed to win. Now, I would say, and Joe, the one thing that would give me kind of hope going forward is that they still are fairly young. They are developing, but like the next step is a colossal step. You know what I mean? And like Liverpool are going to be back. Man United could be back. Chelsea are in the middle. They're to get to where they have. They've spent a lot of money. They've expended a lot of effort and time. So to get back to there again is even going to be a big ask. Not to mind to go one step further. So that's kind of the highlight. Both my highlights and maybe my reservations going forward for the season. Okay?
But you know what, Tim? I was told on the last Asia talk that when Arteta presented his project to the likes of Edu, It was a 5-year project, and he's 4 years in to his 5-year project. And like James always said, where do you draw the line? And I was told on the Easy Talk, you know what? We're going to stick with Mikel Arteta. How long it takes, we'll stay by him. I'm thinking, but what's the measurement here? Is it the trophies, or is it he's improved and he's changed the culture somewhat? But Tim, as a regular fan, I just want to see my club win major honours. That's all I care about.
And I think there is an issue with kind of like, and I fall into this myself. Like, you see improvements, their performances against the top clubs is good, but like, and I think I should have said this earlier, but the thing that frightened me was the league this year. Just to take it a small bit broaden out, I think Man City played Fulham. I don't know who they played, but Man City had a 12 o'clock kickoff or a half 12 kickoff of a Saturday, and they won. So they were gone ahead, or they had closed the gap and all that. And then Arsenal played Villa, and Liverpool played Palace, and both those clubs, they lost those 2 matches, right? So in other words, when the pressure came on, it wasn't Man City beat them. It was 2 clubs. Like, Palace have been impressive. Now James will give you the facts and figures of it. Palace have a very impressive run into the second half of the season, and obviously Villa have been on the rise for maybe a season and a half at this stage. So in other words, like, the thing is, to get back to where they are, it isn't the threat of Man City. It's the threat of all the other clubs around. Like, they were. I mean, Son, look, don't get me wrong. He went in 1-on-1 in the 85th minute that Tuesday night, and once that didn't hit the net, it was over. You know what I mean? In hindsight, it was over. But really, at that stage, that was a Hail Mary shot anyway. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was gone at that stage anyway. But like, it's funny actually, and I will say one thing for the Premier League and the competition, the league as a whole. There seems to be a fair level of competition in the top 8, maybe top 10. So there's no safe passage through, which is the most amazing thing like about Man City. And like, the FA Cup final was, they finally lost the match, which we needed to lose 2 weeks ago.
James, you've always said that we don't have the right mentality to be playing European football.
We don't.
Even look at the domestic cups. But the domestic
we don't. We don't. One thing I will say with the fans, how can you talk about something you've never seen? What do you imagine it? If you think of us on the channel today, we've experienced 71, 89, 91, 98, 2002 and 2004. So on the channel today are people, fans, who have seen Arsenal win 6 league titles and know every single little bit of information. In 1991, we lost 1 game away to Chelsea. Yes. Otherwise, we would have been invincible back in 1991 in a 42 league game campaign. When it was a damn sight harder than what it is now. A damn sight harder than what it is now.
And James, that defeat to Chelsea, they often put that down to the fact that Steve Bold was injured and we didn't have the settled back. So we almost did that. I think if Bold had played, that would have been an even earlier Invincibles team.
Exactly. And that team, I have so much affection for that team because it was the Arsenal team of my formative years, and I could call it from front to back. I could call it from front to back. Seaman, Dixon, Adam Bowles, Winterburn, Merson on the right, Limpar on the left, Paul Davis in the middle. Paul Davis in the middle, and then up front, obviously you got Kevin Campbell, you got Alan Smith, one of the greatest strikers we've ever had. But they were proper Arsenal, all of them. Alan Smith could have gone to Man United. Alan Smith could have gone to Chelsea. Alan Smith could have gone to Valencia. But he looked at Arsenal, he looked at George Graham, and what did he say to me? I looked at him, James, and I thought, cool, blimey, they're going places. I want some of that. And look what happened. Golden Boot winner 2 times in 3 seasons. And we bang the drum for Nketiah. We bang the drum for Nketiah, do we? You know, Paul Davis is the best left foot never to play for England, but we bang the drum about Odegaard, don't we? And Anders Limpar signed for £1 million from Cremonese.
Yeah.
£1 million from Cremonese. Some of the greatest Arsenal goals you've ever seen have come from him.
Yeah.
So we may well be viewed as legacy fans, but I'll quote Pele. The greatest film you can watch is a film in your mind. You can play it any time, and it's special to you, and your memories are vivid. This is the greatest of all time speaking. This is the greatest of all time speaking. And this is why I say at least we have our memories. I've seen some great players. I've seen some great managers. I've seen some great opponents. Nobody can take my memories away from me, but the game we love as well, as Tim rightly said it, the younger generation are being conditioned. They're being conditioned not to think. They've never played the game. And if they do play the game, the creativity is being coached out of them before they've even made the first team. The creativity is being coached out of them. And the club that we love as well, we used to be the flagship club of London. We're not even that anymore.
No.
We are factually the third biggest club in the whole of the country. We don't act like it. We don't act like it at all. Manchester United and Liverpool are bigger than us. We are never going to bridge that gap, specifically in Europe. But every time we don't win a trophy, the gap gets bigger. Manchester United could draw level with us in the FA Cup next season.
Yeah,
and then what are we going to say then? Oh, no, it's all right. We're level now. We used to be 6 league titles ahead of them, and we used to be 6 FA Cups in front of them. We used to be. And it wasn't that long ago. And now City are 3 league titles behind us. And as Alex rightly says, it's all about trophies. But this generation, they love to tell you about, what is it they say? Surface level goal contributions, pre-assists, jargon. In the words of Bill Shankly, people use these words to confuse people, knowing that half the people watching it will understand what it means. Well, we don't. We use the words that everybody understands.
H-Man, but isn't the problem far greater than any coach that comes to Arsenal, any manager that comes to Arsenal, any footballing director that comes to Arsenal? Isn't the problem a lot wider and more chronic than that?
Yeah, well, I remember actually I was kind of thinking about this. This is like going back about a month ago now, actually, I have to say. But I just have to look up, because I remember when Arsenè Wenger came to Arsenal, he came from, he actually came from Japan, didn't he? But I was reading about his latter playing career. He finished up in Strasbourg. I think that was his last club that he played for. And then he went on, and I remember his last year as a player, he was in charge of the Strasbourg youths or reserve team, and he went to Cambridge to get a degree in English, or to learn English, or maybe a degree, but a qualification. So in other words, he kind of had a drive, or a kind of an external driven factor that I don't think Arteta has. Do you know what I mean? Like, as in, he was the man that he believed that he saw himself as being a great manager, a great tactician, a great coach. He wanted to go to England, where the best league possibly was, the most competitive. He wanted that sort of exposure, and it was like he arrived there. And look, I think I've said this to Terry before, that someone asked him about like going to the West End or the museums around London, and he hardly knew where they were. Like, so he really came to London to manage Arsenal, and he was using that club to embody his belief of how he could get a football team to play. And look, the famous Ian Wright stories about, being kind of browbeaten into taking nutritions and nutritional supplements, or going to bed on time, and this sort of stuff. Like, but he came with it, and I don't think, like, and I am still pro Arteta in the bigger sense, like, but I don't think, maybe as Terry said, are we grooming him for the next job? Like, is it the next club we're going to see the benefits of Arteta's time at Arsenal? He's got this exposure to the top of English football. I mean, we have during the year we often discussed, myself and James and we often discussed, and Terry and Ross often discussed Vincent Kompany, like, and we said, really, isn't this a disaster? his company's now the Bayern Munich manager. Like, so it's like so there's a bit of that about Arteta. Is he just kind of learning as the next club is going to really benefit from him? Like,
so tell. Here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Come next season, are we going to be also Rans, or are we going to do it?
Well, a lot of it is going to do. I mean, if you go by the fact that he gave it a 5-point plan, and we're already into the 5th season, then so has he failed? That's the question, because at this stage he should have won a trophy, and then the 5th stage is that he wins trophies every year. He sustains what he's gained, but we still haven't won that trophy. It really does feel like we're just grooming him, and he'll go and he'll bring the young fella Carlos Cuestra with him, and he'll bring his team off somewhere. It could be Man City, it could be somewhere. I've no idea where, but next season's not going to be easy, because if Man United have any sense, they'll keep Ten Hag. I really do. I hope they don't. I hope they say, right, we'll get someone else in, and some other poor sucker's gonna have 3 or 4 seasons trying to turn it round. But they won the cup final. They outthought Guardiola in terms of tactics. They've got some good young players coming through. They're very highly respected and followed here in Ireland.
Oh, very much so,
Man United. Yeah. They are the number one team that are followed, probably closely followed by Liverpool and maybe Arsenal. There.
Oh yeah, I'd say that.
Yeah.
Well, the Arsenal, actually, funny thing, just to address that, the Arsenal following is very. I think it's more organic in the sense that we were at a funeral there a couple of months ago of a local person that died, and as you come into the church, there was an Arsenal picture outside. So he'd come from North. He'd born in Ireland and died in Ireland, but he lived in North London. And there's an organic Irish community. Alex, I don't have to tell you, or James, I don't have to tell you that, but like, you know what I mean? That there's an organic kind of connection with Arsenal because of that North London thing. But the non-people that don't have that organic connection with North London, they would probably support you, Man United or Liverpool, I'd say. Yeah.
James, I did kind of try to ask a question about that. In Europe, we don't appear to have the right attitude. But
it's no appeal about it.
But James, for the domestic cups, we don't have the right attitude. The League Cup.
No, not the League Cup. We've only won it twice in '87 and '93. We use it as a League Cup, don't we? We use it as a Youth Cup. I started a petition to donate our Champions League place to Crystal Palace, but it's fallen on deaf ears because I don't think we need it. We don't need. What's the point in having it? What's the point in having it? There's no point, is there? And maybe they could even come to play at the Emirates. Why not? Because they can still have the revenue, can't they? But we're just. I cannot believe for the life of me, and I've seen 35 live games of Arsenal in my life. 33 of them at Highbury and the Emirates, respectively, and 1 in Munich, 1 in Eindhoven, and 1 in Amsterdam. I don't understand how we never learn. I've never seen Arsenal line up 5-4-1 at home. I've never seen Arsenal try to take the sting out of a European game. I've never seen that. We never learn in European competitions. So what is the point of being in it? If you need 20, if you were taking your driving test and you needed 28 bites of the cherry, they would say this isn't for you. I'm sorry,
this isn't for you.
It isn't for you. And if we would just have one particular campaign where we give our all, where we have different formations, where we try different things, I could write a whole book. I remember lining up at the turnstiles, ready to go into the clock ends for Arsenal against Monaco in 2015. And I'm waiting outside, and I hear a guy behind me say, "Oh, we'll beat this lot 4-0 tonight." I turned around and I said to him, "Excuse me." I said, "You do know that they've topped a group with Bayer Leverkusen, Benfica, and Zenit St. Petersburg. So obviously a very good side." I said, "I think we'll win tonight, but we certainly won't win 4-0. We lost 3-1, and if you look at the images on YouTube, when that goal goes in from Carrasco, you'll see 2 people in the clock end block, number 24. You'll see one guy in a red jacket, that's me, and you'll see another guy. Everybody else scarpered. All you see is empty seats. All you see is empty seats. The same way they look at certain opponents with disdain. You know, I remember the Lons game back in November where a guy tried to be jovial and funny by saying they looked like a bunch of McDonald's workers, didn't they? And you know, just with the colours of yellow and red, of course. But we reached 2 European finals in '94 and '95. We knocked out the likes of Torino, Paris Saint-Germain, Odense, you know, who brought the likes of Thomas Helveg, who played for Milan, you know, brought him on. You know, we also beat Parma. Parma knocked out Ajax and Benfica on the way to that final. 2 years later, Ajax win the Champions League. You know, people have got very Zaragoza, as well as a wonder goal as it was from Naeem. They did really well to reach that final and beat us, and they're still dining out on it now. But more power to them. More power to them. But we did reach 2 European finals in a row. You know, we were that close away from winning 2 consecutive European trophies. Yeah. But now it's the tournament that time has forgotten about. The last 2 European trophies we won, the Fairs Cup and the Cup Winners' Cup, are now defunct. But it's not as if we haven't played in Europe. We've been in Europe regularly since 1997. We've been in Europe regularly since 1997. It's madness. And so what's that, 27 years? And what, 1 final and 1 semi-final? And a woodload of cash, which has gone into Wenger's pocket. So the man that cried wolf that we've got to have a bigger stadium in order to compete, the man that was used as collateral by banks when giving Arsenal the loan to build the Emirates with the, Arsene Wenger's got to remain in charge, otherwise we're not giving you this money. Okay, then that's all right. Unbelievable. But he was still taking out £10 million a year in wages. And then, you know, buying players that were not good enough to play for Arsenal because he wanted a pet project to show that, I can find someone in Abidjan that can play football. I couldn't care less about that. He's no Andy Limpar, is he? He's no Paul Davis. He's no Mickey Thomas. He's no. I'd argue Siggy Johnson was even better if people know who Siggy Johnson is, apart from his perm. But, you know, at least we have our memories, which is the most important thing. The cannon on that beautiful shirt you're wearing, in the new shirt where they're charging £80 a pop, the cannon's facing the wrong way. It's facing the wrong way, and then they come with the year of the cannon. But it's facing the wrong way.
Can I just say something there? James made a very good point there that, like, Arsenal, they don't change the formation. And if you remember back, I was about, like, this is September now. This is like really far back in the season. Arteta was talked about, that he was coming to the stadium from wherever he lived, and there was a rake of different methods or roads he could take, and he kind of used this as an analogy for all the different formations. And I think there was a number like 33 formations that he could put out. But, like, we never saw that. When the pressure came on, when the pressure started with, say, March, we call it the middle of March, when the real pressure for the running started, there was nothing. It was the same. And there was no, like, and actually, I would say the Aston Villa match, that they lost that match. I remember watching that match. We were sitting down here, and the first half, I thought Arsenal were reasonable in the first half. When Aston Villa came out for the second half, it was like men against boys. Yes. Jeez, they were moving the ball. They knew what they were at. They were all working together. It was only a matter of, like, how much are they going to lose by? They were unbelievable. While Emery had shown the ability, and, like, as James says with Palace there earlier, some of the coaches now are getting the coaches are coming in. The money is very big in the Premier League. They realise I can get a club here. It might be a middle of the range club, but there's a lot of money. And if I have a coaching kind of style, a coaching philosophy that I can implement, next thing Joe, you can be very competitive very quick. And Arteta is turned out to be a bit of a company man in that sense. Like he's, we and you see, I suppose there's also an issue. How much money have they given to him? Like, and they have
£700 million is what they've given to him.
No, there it is.
Yeah.
So it's £700 million. So the younger generation that loves to back, like influencers and big money and big cash, I'm sure their ears will prick up when you say £700 million. But do they really know the value of that money? Do they really know the value of that money? As I say, we can be classed as legacy fans, but every single one sitting here has worked really hard at some point in their life to be able to pay for their ticket to go and watch the Arsenal. Yeah. I remember being an 18-year-old and rocking up to a distribution centre in Bedfordshire on a Saturday morning at 8 o'clock. And I walked in and all my colleagues that had mortgages to pay all turned to me and said, James, what are you doing here? I said, well, Arsenal play in the Champions League and I want to go to every single home game. And I'm going to try to go to an away game. Okay, it changed the course of my life. But I had to work overtime to pay for all of those tickets. And they were £30 a pop. And my ticket in Amsterdam at the time in 2003 was €48, which was just absolutely unreal. But I managed to do it. But now it's they know the value. They know the price of everything, but the value of nothing. And I think that's really, really dangerous. I mean, when we were having coffee together on the eve of the Porto game, Terry made a great comment. You in a world where people's capital is money, it's money, whereas books and Arsenal programs and special memories and things that you did with the people that you love or your mates, they're not interested in that capital. My bookcase is full of it. My bookcase is full of it because you can have a day where you might not have the best day, but you can think, oh, that was brilliant. That was amazing. That was like, for example, that season Arsenal played. I was 19 years of age, or 18 going on 19, and Arsenal played 12 Champions League games in 2 group phases. I was at 7 of them. And I was at all 6 games, and the game in Amsterdam that changed the course of my life forever. And I paid it all by myself. And nobody paid it for me. I had to work hard for it. But it's the memories. And now it's like with the money involved in the game, intuition's going out of the game. I've been saying to so many people as well, if you are an art lover, if you are a car lover, or whatever you might be, a wine lover, your eyes don't deceive you. You know what you like. But now it's even that, like, Brentford Scouting Academy. What saying do they use? Distrust your eyes. Cut and paste games. Don't go and watch the game on the sideline. Absolute tosh. I was speaking to my colleague today, and I asked him, I said, could you work under a sporting director? And he said, yeah. I said, I couldn't. I said, I'd tell him to take a running jump. Because if somebody says to me, I've got a centre half for you, I'll say, I'll take a look at him. And I'll go to watch him play. Not cut and paste, not YouTube, not via, not influencer. I will go and watch him play. And this is my last this is my last appearance on Cannon Fodder channel in the last 5 years, and we've done a marvellous job as a team, all of us. We've done, because what we've tried to do is we've tried to educate the next generation. We've tried to protect our game, and we've tried to tell the future generation it's not their game, it's yours. And don't mess it up with statistics and mumbo jumbo and rubbish. And the one piece of advice I will give, particularly every single young fan watching today, if you like a player, stick with them. If you're being bullied at the school, oh, you think so-and-so's good, he's rubbish, stick with him, because you know what you like. Paul Merson was my hero. I was doing the old drinking celebration in petrol stations and supermarkets as a kid. And my mum used to look at me, and my mum used to say to me, "What on earth are you doing?" And then you go through stages. Like, for example, Paul Merson was my hero. Dennis Bergkamp is the greatest I've ever seen. And I always had a soft spot for the likes of Freddie Ljungberg, for the likes of Alexis Sanchez, for the likes of Santi Cazorla. You know, but again, this generation now, they need to understand that they are the next generation. They are the next generation, and they're going to have to save this game before it gets taken away from us. So some things never go out of fashion. And I just think, you know, you can't be surprised with anything in football. You really can't. And as Terry often says, and it's very relevant in this day and age and in this podcast, follow the money.
Oh,
Yeah. Do you know, on Friday's show, I mentioned Unai Emery on a number of in the space of like 5 minutes, quite a few times, and I was pillared for it in the live chat. Terry, your thoughts about Unai Emery and what he's achieved, getting Aston Villa back?
Well, you know, he's generally taken over very unfashionable clubs and turned them around. I did read his biography, not his autobiography, but an unofficial biography. And if anybody thinks of buying it, I wouldn't advise you to, because it's just a hodgepodge of journalists putting all kinds of bits and pieces together. But the facts are there. He turns clubs round. I think he's only lost one big final, and that was unfortunately when we came up against Chelsea and Eden Hazard. Apart from all of that, he's got it. He's like what probably Arteta will be 10 or 15 years down the road. Maybe. You know, he knows his stuff. And it's funny, we were talking about the attitude of fans. The attitude of fans towards Unai Emery was disgusting. Somebody obviously told him, when you speak, you often get this on BBC News as well. People say they're about to launch into a polemic against the Tories or the Labour, but they'll always say good morning or good evening. And the poor fella didn't pronounce it quite correctly. Okay, he did it with his Spanish Basque accent. And suddenly that was the focus. Well, they should have looked at him. They should have stayed with him. He was doing a wonderful job. And now he's got Aston Villa into the European League, Champions League. I would hate to come up against them next season, because he's got an axe to grind, and boy, does he grind it. So I have nothing but praise for the man, a top man. He can take almost any club. I mean, his success is a litany of, you know, get in there, roll up your sleeves, get them sorted, astute buys, good training, good tactics. And he's turned it round. And now Villa are looking like a very good team. And if we hadn't have destroyed ourselves against Villa, and I think he had a point to prove. And unfortunately, we tripped up against Fulham away, didn't we? Around about the Christmas time.
West Ham at home as well.
And West Ham,
Chelsea away.
Newcastle.
It's guys, if you're going to beat Man City to it, you've got to be perfect or damn near it.
Yeah.
And, you know, look, one of the things you have with soccer is you have hope. Because if you lose hope, you might as well head off to nearest bridge. Where's the nearest bridge, dude? Yeah. But you have to live in hope. And maybe Arteta and Cuestra and the lads will turn it round next season. But, you know, I'm sorry to be cynical, and I'm not really, as Tim will tell you, I'm not a cynical kind of person. But this season, I'm sorry, lads, it's been perfect for the Arsenal brand. Yeah. We've heard the Cronkies. Listen, don't doubt one thing. The Cronkies, I remember the guy across the road from me, his wife bought him a share in Arsenal. It cost £1,000, and they bought each other one share, and they were Kroenke forced them to sell at 14,000 £100 each, which they didn't want to sell. They wanted the share certificate on their wall. They were Arsenal fans from back in the 40s, and 50s, and I'm afraid at that moment I just thought, no, this isn't right. This should be a family club. It should go down the generations. My lads, Tim's lad here, they're all big Arsenal fans, and it should go down like that. It should not be, oh, well, you've got a share. But now, you see what happens now. John Berry, guy across the road, he died, unfortunately, a few years ago, Lord mercy on him. But he used to give me the brochure, and it would have all the facts and figures. The stuff that they had to produce. I'm sure there was stuff that they didn't have to produce, and now that doesn't happen because it's owned by Kroenke. So you can bet your bottom dollar he travels on Arsenal's money backwards and forwards across the Atlantic, brings his wife, brings his son, brings his grandkids, and they stay at all the best hotels on the backs of Arsenal supporters. That's not what Arsenal were founded. We were founded as a club in Islington, and for people in the local area to come and see after 5.5 days of work, because my dad used to work like most people did on a Saturday morning, and on a Saturday afternoon they could go and relax and look forward to a good game all week. That's gone. Now we're an American enterprise. Sorry, Alex.
No, so I'm going to play devil's advocate. What are you worried about? I mean, football is big business. It's big business. It's monies, and it's not your money. So what are we worried about? It's business.
It was my money. I paid them big money over the years. What? But I feel sorry. I mean, I know so many people now at Arsenal who are renting out their season tickets.
Yeah. So yeah.
Right? I know one woman, I'm not going to say where in the stadium, but it's expensive. She rents out 3 or 4 season tickets. What? It's money.
Business.
Yeah.
Business. But we can't take our money with us. We are not. We're all mortal. We're not immortal. We can't take our money with us to wherever we're going next. But as I say, at least we have our memories, and that's the most important. But I worry for the next generation of Arsenal fans because they're never going to have it as good as what we had it, are they?
No.
Yeah. They have to imagine league titles, didn't they? They have to imagine it. What must it look like? We've seen it. You hug your fellow man. Someone cracks a joke, and you just, we've seen it, we've experienced it, we've been there. The train journey home, the making sure that everybody's all right, getting everybody in the tube all right, making sure that any disabled people get preference to get through straight away, and having a right laugh and a right joke. We've seen league titles, we've seen European trophies, we've seen FA Cups, we've seen two League Cups in 87 and 93, and nobody can take our memories away from us. But the next generation, it's just going to be the game is eating itself, and they're being conditioned to go along with it, when what they should be doing is they should be protecting it, because these people that are offering you the carrot, they're not doing it to please you. They want to take you somewhere before the bad stuff happens. Yeah. So bring it, come back from the brink, try and save the game, read books about what went before, read about history, read about world events, different players, different clubs, different managers, different cities in the world, because it's a world game. It's not an English game, it's a world game. We might have invented it, but we gave it to the world, and then the world tipped on and won more World Cups than what we did. But that's another story.
But James, for the generation of not seeing Arsenal win titles and major trophies, if you've not seen it, if you've not had it, why would you worry about it? They've not seen it because they're not worried about it.
Yeah, but now it's all about the views, the likes, the links, the links, isn't it? If you log into a LinkedIn this day and age, the poor old guy who just does his job and doffs his cap when he comes home and has a kip on the sofa and a cup of tea. He must think, what's going on here? Technology is being invented to crop and paste photos to cut things out. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? You know, in the real world, all you have to do is the best with you. All you can do is the best with the resources you've got at your disposal. That's all you can do, and it's not that hard. But it's just as well that, you know, I worry about the next generation of Arsenal fans because you know, they'll have to go to San Francisco and Arsenal New York and Arsenal San Francisco, and you know, it's a slow death under Conky, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's already been 17 years. Now it doesn't seem like 17 years, but yet it has been 17 years, and it's a slow death, is what it is. And until he leaves, until Josh leaves, until we really realise what's going on, it's like boiling a frog, you know. You know, and I just think until they move on, we won't see the light of day. But I will vote with my feet. I will look at games that come up. If I want to go, I will go. If not, I've got better things to spend my money on. And I've got my memories, and nobody can take those away from me.
Tim, I'm going to ask you to use your crystal ball. Look in the future. When are we going to win the Premier League?
That's a good question. Just want to address something that James said there a minute ago. And he was talking about, actually, just a couple of times, he talked about Alan Smith and Ian Wright, and I suppose Thierry Henry and Berkeley, but all these kind of like, that all the Arsenal teams that have won something always had a striker. They always had the man that put the ball in the net. The match that was going to finish 0-0, 1-0 the Arsenal. You know what I mean? They had and I think Emery has kind of, the difference to me was that Emery built his team. He developed a lot. It was very impressive and everything. But in Ollie Watkins, he had his 20-goal striker. Like he had, so they put him over. While Arsenal had, like, Havertz, look, wasn't a failure, but and Eddie Nketiah was definitely way off the pace, and Jesus offers more than he delivers. That really Arsenal, they want to make the brave move. They need to get the striker in to create that we are going to get. Like, even though Haaland supposedly, don't get me wrong, I was buying into this. Like, Haaland, like, they were saying, oh, bad season. He had himself and what was it, Darwin Núñez were top of missed chances. You know, they missed all these chances. When they needed goals, he got goals. And that's what Arsenal didn't have. They didn't have that. They had, like, I'm not saying Saka gets goals. Martinelli went back. You know, he lost momentum. Havertz contributed. There's no doubt he contributed, but he wasn't the lethal striker they needed.
No, and Tim, people forget, if you look back at the start of the season, they bought Havertz to replace Xhaka. Yeah. And they played him for about the first 7 or 8 matches in midfield. And then because of injuries, they shoved him up front, and he scored, because a big guy who can kick a ball is going to have a chance with the way Arteta sets the team up. He still looks to me like he's wearing someone else's legs. Yeah. You know, it's like he's not quite got control of where his hips move his legs. But, you know, I mean, Arteta's been lucky. It's worked.
Yeah, it's worked to a level.
Yeah,
I don't think it's worked in the sense that, and I don't want to be putting words in James's mouth here, but it's worked to the level of the share price. You know what I mean? It's made Arsenal successful at a share price level, but there's no silverware. Like there's no, and like when you needed the goals, I mean, ultimately you'd have to say that to win it, like all the teams that have won. Okay, Man City won 4, but Mo Salah would say he won. I won't say he won it himself, but he was a brilliant player for Liverpool when they won it. Jamie Vardy, I'm sure maybe I'm missing someone in between, but he won it for Leicester. They all have to have that guy that he's going to convert the 0-0 into a 1-0. That the day that your passes aren't kind of, that the opposition is, that you get that one breakout chance, your man puts the ball in the net, you win that match. The league table shows that there's no column in the league table for hard work or Japers nearly got there. Oh no, there's only points. It's numeric, like 3 + 3 + 3, and keep adding those up and get to, well, something's in the mid-90s and then you have the job done. You know what I mean? So that's what I would be afraid of. When will Arsenal win the Premier League? I think Arsenal could win a Premier League in the next 3 years, but I put a big effort on it. I wouldn't be underlining the could. I would just be possibly. I still think the team isn't a million miles away. But the thing is, to get them to the next level, they have a very good back four. They have I'd say a good, like Declan Rice and Odegaard provide a very strong midfield. And the problem is, are they going to have? Can they buy in this striker who's going to get them these 20 goals? And then, now I know maybe that's an overly simple solution, but look, it was a solution that was highlighted in the month of Christmas. People were talking about Arsenal needed number 9 at Christmas, and I know they still kept up the challenge. But could you say that those people were right? Could you say now in the middle of May that it turned out they didn't need number 9, and they have, like, Jesus is a good player, and Martinelli and Saka, these are all good players. But you need, and actually the way football has gone is that you need kind of an attacking kind of fulcrum combination. That you need that 9, and even he's keeping the opposition defenders honest, like, so to create chances for other people. So if you think about that, I think Havertz doesn't have a real threat in the opposition defenders. Don't really fear him, I don't think.
No.
Tim, do you think we missed Granit Xhaka this season?
Oh well, definitely they missed him in the sense that Havertz didn't fill that role, like, this aggressive kind of. Do you remember Arsenal playing that kind of 5 almost? So they had, we'd say, Jesus, Saka, Martinelli, and it was kind of Zinchenko came in, and Odegaard and Granit Xhaka definitely, to me, were more of a scoring threat than the combination this year. Like, I don't think now Declan Rice, and actually, do you know who finished well? A player, I have to say, I've often had my question marks, and I know Terry is like Thomas Partey finished reasonably strong. Their midfield, but like, I don't think that the Granit Xhaka role has been fully finished. Like, he was a good attacking midfielder. Like, and like, they probably sold him just as he was coming to his optimum. They got rid of him. Like,
I mean, I think that the thing about Partey, if you look back at the season, was once he got injured, he's like a Duracell bunny. He's got about 3 hours in him, and then he's gone, right? And he played about 3 or 4 matches, and then he was off for most of the season. There's a big school of thought that actually it didn't work when we put what's the name back into the Rice. When we put Rice back into the number 6 role, we didn't look as good, and it was far better when we played the guy we bought off Chelsea, Jorginho. And we put Rice back up into sort of that number 8 role. You know, there's a big school of thought there. Also, lads, you must remember our centre-backs went through the whole season virtually uninjured. Yeah. And Saliba the previous season had a bad back injury. But, you know, the biggest problem is, and it's always money, when Arteta needed to rest Rodri or whoever, they always had a half-decent player to bring in there. What if we'd have lost either of those 2 centre-backs, we were going to be in trouble.
Like, Man City won it last year. John Stones was the cornerstone. John Stones was a very peripheral player to them this year. Rodri took it on that road. They had diversified. They had evolved. Like, there's almost a kind of an argument with Man City is that you're not to win the league. You don't have to beat the present Man City. You have to beat the next iteration. You know. Yeah. That's the one. They will evolve another bit. Like, they will now. It will be money, and they will spend money, and they will bring. But like, they are definitely, I think, they have Pep Guardiola has been propped up with a lot of money, but he's had a lot of success as well, and he does seem to definitely have, a kind of sometimes I think he plays a bit to the media. James, I'm sure more familiar with this than me, but like, he definitely kind of plays up this kind of like, I am I have I'm the oracle, I know all this, but like, he's won 4 leagues now in a row. No one did it. Herbert Chapman didn't do it in the 30s.
No.
Alex Ferguson didn't do it. Was it Paisley or Fagan, whoever I think they went through two managers in the 80s and Liverpool. So no one else did it. So that's it.
I'm going to let James in here because James said a really interesting thing to me once, which I don't think a lot of fans realise. In the Netherlands, the club's books have to be transparent. They've got to give them into the FA and they go through with a fine-tooth comb.
You got to hand it in. All 44 professional clubs are obliged to hand in their books to the Dutch FA. If you are found to be living beyond your means, you can receive sanctions which range from fines to points deductions to your professional licence being revoked. It has happened to Haarlem in the past. It's happened to RVC Roosendaal in the past. Vitesse, who won the cup in 2017, they are just about going to get their license, or they could also go out of business. But there again lies the difference. Guardiola is not the Messiah; he's just a very naughty boy. He was heavily influenced by Johan Cruyff. Johan Cruyff was heavily influenced by Michels and Vic Buckingham. So it's not the current day seems to think that the current generation invented the game. That's not true. All they're doing is putting a different slant on it. That's all they are doing. No one has the bottle to speak up about Guardiola. No one has the bottle to say to him, Pep, why do you wear yellow Catalan ribbons in press conferences trying to promote your separatism from Catalonia from Spain? Nobody's got the bottle to say things like that to him. Nobody's got the bottle to say to him, Pep, do you think you can do what Marcelo Bielsa did? Do you think you'll be able to take a team that finished 12th in the Championship and bring them to the Premier League whilst being champion? No, because he's not interested in that. Nobody's got the bottle to speak to him. It's just Pep this and Pep that and Pep this and Pep that. If he was that good, go to Spain, take over a Santander, take over a Gijón, take over a Oviedo, and bring them all the way up to European standard. But no, the common denominator where he's been has always been money. Has always been money. So, he's not the Messiah. He's good, but he's not that good. And most importantly, I wouldn't want to play for him. I would hate to have a boss who doesn't understand my qualities and thinks, well, you're a right back, but I'm going to make you into a winger. But I'm not a winger. I defend. I'm not a winger. I don't go forward. My job is to stop that ball coming in my box, and my job is to head and kick that ball away. That's my job. But again, Guardiola needs to be seen to check. He's not the first ever manager to put someone in central midfield, is he? But he was lauded for what he did to John Stones. He was lauded. We did that with David Hillier.
We did that with Frank McClintock.
We did that with Frank McClintock.
Yeah.
But again, as you say, Alex, very, very short and very, very selective memories. That's what it is. But at least we've got our memories and nobody can take those away from us. And I do worry for the game. The game for me is like a monster that's starting to eat its own skin. So there will come a time where the last morsel will be eaten. In 10 years' time, we're going to be having social media pick the starting lineup. We're going to having social media polls. Should he be sacked? Should he not be sacked? But this is a game. And we were talking about great captains. What did Tony Adams say when Ian Wright rocked up at Arsenal? To his face, what did he say to him? He said, "You've never scored against the Arsenal. Just a very scared little boy, aren't you?" And he was. But he needed that cajoling from one of the greatest captains we've ever had for us to get the best out of him to win as many trophies as possible. You can't say that now. If Tony Adams was to say that to Ian Wright now, he'd probably be sacked. But then again, it just goes to show. It just goes to show. But what's the famous saying? When you cut out a man's tongue, you're not cutting it out because you're trying to stop what he's trying to say. You're worried about what he's going to say. You're worried about what he's going to say. And I just think that this is our game. And my final message on this wonderful channel in the last 5 years to the next generation It's your game. When they tell you, when they hold their hands out, this is what you can have, look past them. Because when they're long gone, the club will still be here. And we've spoken about it before. Look it up in the dictionary if you don't understand this word, custodianship. Custodianship. Everyone on the panel tonight is a custodian of Arsenal Football Club. We don't get paid for it. We don't get likes for it. There's not a marketing company behind us. People don't tell us what to say. People don't tell us what to do. It comes from the heart because we love this football club. So the next generation, look after this football club. Look after it. And up the Arsenal.
But you know what? We've spoken about the Americanization of our club, and I, like you, James, I fear for the future for Arsenal. At one stage, you might see them, in New York. That might be their home ground somewhere in the States. Do you worry about it as well, Tel? The Americanization?
Well, it's going to happen. I don't worry about it because I know it's going to happen, and I think James has hit the nail on the head there. The custodianship that we had under Dennis Hillwood and Peter Hillwood, when David Dean, he saw the old dollars rolling in, and he bought a share, a good few shares, and at the time our chairman would have been Peter Hillwood at the time, or Dennis maybe. He said, "Oh, you don't make money buying into a football club. We're here because it's an expression of the local area, a bit like we have." Maybe John, Gooner John, who supports Enfield, has something similar there, or we might have here in County Clare, where we can bump into the players. We can, they're from us. Yeah. They're part of us. And I love the fact that Islington in the 60s, lots of Irish would be working there at the stadium. We'd have some Irish players. We'd have people from all over the world. It wasn't just an Irish-centric club. People from all over the world worked there. Islingtonians worked there. Charlie George came off the terraces and played for us, and it's still a great club, but it's not. We are the custodians, not, I'm sorry to say, Stanley Enos Kroenke or Josh Kroenke. They are the owners. They are the parasites, I personally feel, because they're pulling the money, and we don't know what money they're pulling, because it's no longer in the ownership of the fans to shares to see where the money's being spent. And that, I'm afraid, hurts me. And I would much rather a custodianship. But I guess it's a time that may come again when, in so many decades' time, a different sport suddenly becomes the number one sport that people follow. I'm sure there will be an Arsenal FC, and it might be a very much smaller club then, and maybe our children or grandchildren can go and see it and say, "Yeah, I heard stories about this club." But at the moment, we are owned. That's an awful phrase, isn't it? Yeah. Somebody else owns us. Yeah. I don't like the sound of that. They own our club. They are coining on the fans, and but listen, one of the things we always did on Cannon Fodder is we tried to sort of lift our spirits, and we've got a good show.
Are you going to sing for us?
I'll sing for you, but I think we could listen. You always live in hope, and let's hope that somehow we get in a good centre forward. We get enough players in, because if we have a few injuries next season, we could be in trouble. So let's keep hoping. Let's keep watching them. Maybe get the odd game. I know James is planning to go to the odd game. If I can go to the odd game, I will. But it's not quite what it used to be. That's a shame. We know times move on, but I would like to think somehow that we could get back to a stage where the fans themselves had some ownership in the success of the club. Now, whether the Kroenkes would ever sell to people like Flamini, who's a very rich man now, multi-billionaire, and whether he'd put the club up such that fans could buy shares in it again. I don't know. That might happen. I've no doubt if the money drops out of the game, then the Kroenkes will be very quick to sell it. But it's not just the Kroenkes, it's the system.
Yeah.
You've got, is it Bowley they call him at Chelsea? Tom Bowley. You've got all these guys running clubs. And I would much prefer if it were the people that ran the club, not the sort of big money guys that sort of come in.
Yeah.
But so why should Kroenke care? I mean, again, if Arsenal wasn't a money spinner, then obviously he wouldn't be here. But why should he care? He's only here to make money.
Well, do you know, that's what I'm saying.
No.
Brand Arsenal has been immensely successful, and that's the brand. And when you have a brand, that's all you are. That's all you are. The football club is secondary to the brand, which is why we got how many kits now this season? We have three new kits, three new training kits. What's going on? And then you have a polo shirt for going out on a Saturday afternoon and a different one on a Sunday afternoon. You could have a whole wardrobe full and throw the whole lot out, and next year you'll have another wardrobe full.
Yeah. But you don't have to buy it. If money is so tight in England, why are people buying it?
Yeah.
If you have a choice between your electric bill or an Arsenal shirt, I know what I'm paying. I need to pay my electric bill.
Yeah, but they're being brainwashed to think they need that.
Yes,
they need it.
More for them.
Yeah.
More for them. You know, but again, it's just we've got great memories, and I think we've done an amazing job the last 5 years. Before I sign off, I'd just like to say thank you to the viewers, thank you to Ralph, thank you to Sorelli, thank you to Terry, to Tim, to everyone I've spoken to, and last but not least, thank you very much to the man in the top left-hand corner, who, when he saw me speaking on Ryan Fletcher's podcast, and he was quite impressed with my European knowledge, he approached me and he said, would you like to come on and speak about European football? And we've been doing it for 5 years. And it's a wonderful friendship. It's been great to educate people about Europe because it's a big old place.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd like to think that we helped people. We did an amazing show trying to encourage people about the importance of speaking a foreign language. I'm going to sign out on that note, actually, because I'm pretty sure that there's people watching today that are struggling with a foreign language. I'll leave you with this, and I'm sure Alex will echo my sentiments. Don't give up and don't give in, because at the end, you can obtain something really, really special.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, James, you know, it's been a blast. I can't only call you as a panelist. You've been a really good friend of mine, James, over the years, and I have seen you. We've met on numerous occasions, and we've aged just a little bit, James.
Yeah, indeed. But what we've spoken about remains the same. But we've always been consistent.
Absolutely.
And I think in modern society, where people will sell their values down the river for an extra few quid, at least we have our principles. I was at work today, and I was telling people in Dutch, how dare Ajax appoint a foreign manager whose English is shocking. Shocking. What do you think you're doing? How can you be manager of Amsterdam's the football club Ajax and not speak Dutch? But I was able to tell them in their mother tongue because I've been here for years. And I said it's a point. I said it's a point of principle. And one of my colleagues says principles. Do they still exist? I said they do in my book.
And James, what's really nice as well is that although this program is finishing now, this show is finishing, we all met up, didn't we, a few months ago at St Pancras, and I got on the piano. We sang songs. You and I went for something to eat, and I'm sure over the summer we'll probably meet in London or Amsterdam. And we've got Tim here in the west of Ireland. It's a way of meeting friends, sharing the sort of love of a sport. And that won't stop. Cannon fodder that will be put to rest, and we've had a cracking time. But our friendship continues.
Yeah,
Exactly.
This is only the start.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just on that point, Alex, you should be very proud of what you achieved. It's an exceptional channel, and you give contributions. And like, even though I think there's no doubt you're an Arsenal man, North Londoner, but you've also exposed people like myself in Ireland. I've been on, I think, with people from Kenya. I've definitely been on with someone from Colombia. I think Nigeria. So in other words, you really it's a very cosmopolitan, multicultural program that we're all with the same passion. And I think, like you said, very much grounded in the roots of a historical club in North London that I think is identifiable across the world.
And Alex, it all started by Tony Adams' statue. You had Serenity with you, and she was putting on a lapel microphone on me. We had Simon, the schoolkeeper site manager from the school I was working in. It was a blisteringly hot day in August, and this is where it's taken us. We've got a community of friends now who will stay friends throughout the years. But it would never have happened, to underline what Tim is saying, without you, Alex. Alex, from the bottom of my heart, and Tim and all the lads, James there.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Here.
Thank
And
you.
did an amazing job. Talk about leaving a legacy. Some people don't leave nothing. But you see, going back to the point earlier today, what Terry was saying about some people's money is their capital. Well, what you've left behind is a cultural legacy.
Yeah.
People will still be able to watch these shows. People will still be able to talk about things. I look forward to meeting up and having a coffee and having a laugh and having a joke, and it will be like old times within minutes. Because great minds think alike. Never had any problems, because good people respect one another.
Yeah.
And respect, and in a world where people can't respect other people's opinions, we've shown on this platform that we can, and that's something to be very proud of.
Well, I've not got much more to add than that, apart from it's been an absolute blast to have each and every one of you on the channel over the course of 4, 5, and 6 years. It's gone very, very quick. And if my legacy is that I've helped people meet people because of the platform, then so be it. That's exceeded my expectations of the channel. Thank you guys for being part of the Canon 42 fan. But Tel, you don't live too far from me, so we're going to invite me around for a cup of tea, Tel.
Well, we're coming round. We should be in London in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Shouldn't we, Tim?
14th and 15th, we're flying over. I think. We have a big date on the 15th. I think it's the 15th.
And we're recording at the BBC or something.
Yeah, we're going to the BBC on the 15th. So anyway, James, I think we might be on.
James Scott is on it as well.
Be on a telephone due to commitments. I won't be able to make it. But
no, we'll be down here. It's a kind of a different. I hope, Alex, maybe you have had an opportunity to listen, but it's a different kind of. Yeah, it's very different. Yeah. But we have to aim for our audience here. But I have to say, it's how would I say? It's very much a Premier League view, but very much through an Arsenal prism.
Very clever.
Anyway, so that's it. If you're watching now, this is the penultimate live show to run on Canon 42 in this format, at least. And you've seen it, the return of the H-Man, and of course, James Rowe. I will be back, I think maybe towards the end of this week. I've got to do one last show with the guys from Dial Square FC, and that will be it. H-Man, thank you. I bid you farewell.
Guys.
And James Rowe. This over here has been Canon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all over this world.